You may have heard, don't read tarot for yourself. Is that true? In this video, we are going to explore that. Keep watching. Hi, it's Leia. Welcome to this episode of Diaries of a Witchy Creative Life. This video is part of a series of how-tos. Who can most benefit, I'd say, would be the tarot beginner, or someone who wants a refresher on tarot. Let's say you stopped practicing, but you're ready to pick up again. And maybe you kind of want to start from scratch, but you do have some background. And also, those who do have an existing tarot practice, who are curious about what other ways or methods of reading tarot there are to add to what you already do. We are using Chris Ann's The Lightseers Tarot. That's our demo deck in all the other videos in this series at this point, although I may switch it up in the future if the video calls for it or if I feel inspired to. But I love that deck. That's why I chose to use it for this series. And you can check it out in action if you're curious about it in the other videos. I'll make sure that there's a link to the playlist of those videos in the description. Alright, so you may have heard, don't read tarot for yourself. And this could come even from those who do believe in using tarot as a tool. I personally would say, though, as would a lot of modern day practitioners, that isn't true. I've been reading tarot for myself from day one, and have learned in all my years of doing it how to do it better so that it actually serves me. Because I think the issue with reading tarot for yourself was more for anyone who used tarot predictively, since it can be challenging to be objective when it comes to ourselves. And on that note, if you're new here, the videos on this channel are not predictive. Our purpose for doing readings here is for healing and self-awareness. We do shadow work. We dive deep down to see what parts of ourselves we may have dissociated from or may be in denial of, because even if we pretend they don't exist, if they're there, they're still running the show or affecting it in some way at least. And doing shadow work can help us embrace these parts of ourselves, accept them, or at least find more peace when it comes to them. What we are going to do in this video is pick 3 cards for a demo reading. We are going to pretend that we are giving ourselves a reading, and by all means, you can use what comes up here as an actual reading. There might be some pretty good inspiration here for journaling prompts. So let's pick those 3 cards now for a 3-card spread. I chose the Mind, Body, Spirit spread. Before we take a look at the cards, some of you who are absolute beginners might be saying, hey, hold on, I don't know how to read the cards at all. For you, I would suggest watching the first video I made in this series, which is how to read tarot cards instantly. Even if all you want is to read tarot for yourself, as in you don't have plans to read professionally or read for friends, I would say that the other videos in this series give a lot of helpful insights that apply to you as well. You can translate them into reading tarot for yourself if you'd like, since there are other spreads that we explore in those videos. And there are many other tips that could come in handy. And I think that there could be many more reading tarot for yourself videos as part of the series, actually. So if you really like that particular subtopic, stay tuned for those. Okay, so if objectivity was the issue that some people have when it comes to reading tarot for yourself, there is less of a concern here when it comes to that. Let me show you what I mean. Let's dive in. Let's flip the first card over. The first card, by the way, is the Mind card. This is Body and this is Spirit. I'll explain in a few moments exactly what each of those covers. But for now, let's flip over card number 1, which is the Mind card. It is the Five of Cups. So in a more predictive or fortune-telling geared reading, what might happen is your blind spots get in the way. We all have lenses, and we all have hopes and dreams. So if the Five of Cups were coming up in a predictive reading, considering that the Five of Cups is about being disillusioned or grieving, someone might be thinking, oh no, is that sort of thing gonna happen in my life pretty soon? Or if they're in heavy denial about something that is causing them grief, they might not even understand what the card is trying to tell them. Whereas in this particular style of shadow work, personal growth, reading that's for healing purposes, our approach to that would be very different. So what does the Mind card cover? It's about your thinking process, your style of thinking, how you reason. It also covers logic and your rational side. So what we do here is, first, we look at the meaning of the card. So if you're a total beginner, feel free to consult the guidebook that comes with your deck of cards. And I know that we don't cover how to pick a tarot deck or how to shuffle and pick the cards in this video because it's focused on something else, but in the future I may make one that discusses all that. So okay, the sample reading for ourselves that we're doing here is helpful when it comes to taking a snapshot of our current state. This is a pretty good spread for checking in with ourselves. So as I was saying, first we take a look at the meaning of the card. The Five of Cups is what has been called the crying over spilled milk card. This means that energy and attention goes to what has been lost. And then once you have the meaning, you apply it to what the card stands for, which in this case would be your mental state or how your mind functions. And you'll see this better explained in the other videos in this series that already exist. But what you want to do here is form questions based off of the card meaning. Those will then serve as your guide. And while keeping a journal isn't necessary for you to benefit from this, I'd say it helps a lot as compared to if you keep your discoveries in your mind, because it's easy for us to forget, even if we pride ourselves on having a good memory. Whereas with a journal, not only can you keep track of your progress because you can look at entries from weeks, months, years ago and see how far you've come or how you've changed. You can also pour more onto the page than if you just kept it all in your head, and see that you can keep pulling at that thread and you discover even more. So what are examples of questions we can come up with for us to answer based on the meaning of the Five of Cups? For instance, what might you have lost that's taking your energy and attention? It doesn't have to be recent. Old hurts that have not been healed will continue to take up space within us. Look at where you've been disillusioned. If you haven't found a resolution or aren't at peace about something, that counts. And if you're challenged to find answers about any of these, look at your limiting beliefs. Where have you gotten jaded? For example, someone who feels like they'll never get ahead in life, as in they'll never find material or financial success. With a little digging, they realize that they've been traumatized by all these arguments that their parents had when they were growing up about money. And until now, they kind of forgot that they made a promise when they were little that they wanted none of those complications in their own life when they grew up. But it ended up where, instead of welcoming abundance into their life, they actually went in the opposite direction and have rejected it, since their younger self equates money with problems and trouble. And without looking at that now, without unpacking it and dissecting it, it might not make logical sense. But that's why we do this sort of work. Because in this case, looking at that situation now, our sample person reading for themselves might realize those decisions were made when they didn't know better. Plus, they come from a very subconscious place. And now they can make the conscious decision to let more wealth and abundance in. And yes, it's a process and it may take time, but they can begin to look at ways they can do that now, instead of having those issues from long ago still running the show, affecting their way of thinking and seeing the world. Our second card is the Body card. It is the Eight of Pentacles. The Body card covers matters relating to physical activity, physical health, fitness, physical wellness, sexuality. And our process here is the same. First, we look at the meaning of the card. What is the Eight of Pentacles about? Perseverance, determination, dedication. This is about putting yourself into your work or your craft, becoming a master or an expert in that thing, and reminding ourselves that it takes a process to get results. To build something requires time and energy put into it. So connecting that now to what the Body card stands for. What questions can our reader come up with for themselves? I'd say an example could be, where in their health and wellness might they have given up too quickly because they didn't get the results they wanted? Another example is, and they might realize already as they're formulating the question, that they've always had issues when it comes to their sex life. So a prompt they come up with is, what healing process can they begin to help with sexual trauma they've experienced in their youth? And for someone else who wants to get fit, they could now be inspired to come up with a plan. One that isn't a get fit quick sort of thing, like they might have tried in the past, but something that covers all areas that are necessary for them to tend to truly get fit. Like there could be a lot of healthier habits they'd like to begin now to make a true lifestyle change. And for others, it could be that they realize that while they do have a fitness routine and pretty good eating habits, they want to take it to the next level and take even better care of themselves. So they could ask themselves what steps to take now to move in that direction. Someone, for instance, could decide to hire a personal trainer or to try different forms of exercise they haven't yet to keep it fresh, if they've started to get bored and no longer feel challenged. So as I keep saying repeatedly, these are just examples. This will mean different things for different people because there are a variety of people who watch this. So different viewers would have to apply this to themselves in a way that makes sense. So the third card, the Spirit card. We have number 13 from the Major Arcana, Death, Rebirth. The focus of the Spirit card is on spirituality, your spiritual life, spiritual growth, as well as creativity and feelings and emotions. I want to say too, if you're going to be working with this spread, the Mind, Body, Spirit spread, be prepared for there to be some overlaps. Because what's good for your mind and body, after all, is also good for your spirit. And many spiritual practices do affect the wellness of your mind and body as well. So it could be that when you flip over the Spirit card, what comes to you is to be more physically active. Or you might come to the conclusion that you need a therapist. So know that there could be overlaps, and that's perfectly okay because this is holistic. One area affects the others, and so on and so forth. So what is the meaning of the Death card? It's about transition, endings, so something new can begin, change, transformation. And what questions can someone come up with in relation to those meanings for them to ask themselves? One could be, what am I afraid of letting go of right now that's keeping me stuck? Because it's very clearly over, and yet I've been holding on to it. And then once they identify what that is, to really dive into the shadow work, they could even look at the reasons why they're afraid. They don't have to stop at where in their life that might be. Knowing the reason or reasons why they're afraid could help them heal that or at least begin to heal it. Another question someone could come up with is, what might they be refusing to accept? Because it could be for someone that their relationship has been dead for a long time. Maybe the spark is completely gone, or they even know that their partner is already involved with someone else, but they haven't confronted them about it. And since the Spirit card relates to creativity, others could explore, in relation to the Death card, what they're willing to try now, even if it means stepping out of their comfort zone or putting an end to an old way of life. It could be that someone who's been a homebody for a very long time decides to take an in-person painting class because they've always wanted to do that, even if it is scary for them to leave their home and or meet new people. Another person might be drawn to a different spiritual path, but because they come from a family that is very strict about its religious beliefs, they haven't dared stray. Or on the surface they haven't. They might have already begun exploring. And now they identify spiritually as something other than the family they come from, but they're in the closet. And they might be compelled to find others who are on a similar path. So again, these are all simply examples to give you ideas of the direction this could go in when you're giving yourself a reading, using this spread in particular. And if you resonate with this style of reading that we are doing here, this particular style of reading that I'm sharing with you, the familiarity with it that you're getting now should help when I put out future videos that you might also enjoy and or benefit from. So start with this, but stay tuned for those if you want to keep moving your practice forward. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. I absolutely love sharing what I've learned about tarot and how I personally do readings. If you resonate with this, there's going to be a whole lot more coming. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet so you don't miss a thing. I'll be back soon. Until then, take care of yourself. Bye for now. More Diaries of a Witchy Creative Life are coming your way.